Akkam jirtu maatiiwwan Kubii Akaadamii bagaa gara YouTube chaanalii keenyaatti nagaan dhuftanii yeroo darbee paartii 14ffaa keessatti waa'ee simple futureedhaa fi future continuous waliin ilaallee turre. Akkuma waadaa galleetti immoo future perfectidhaa fi future perfect continuous tense qabannee isiniif dhiyaanna akkuma jenne rakkunoo paartii 15ffaa keessatti tense kana waliin ilaallee jechuudha. Almost we are near to finish tense types and only one more, that is conditional tense. From the beginning we said 4 types of tense are there. The first one is present tense, the second is past tense, and the third future tense. And from future tense, deeply we discussed on simply future and the future continuous tense in the previous time. Today we are going to focus on future perfect tense and the future perfect continuous tense. It is forms and specifically its usage. How do we use them? So if you follow us from the beginning to the end, you will get adequate information about the future tense. So follow us. Here, future perfect. Future perfect is used to express an action that will be completed before a specific time in the future. So the action is not complete. The action that we expect will be completed before a specific time in the future. Then also we can say future perfect is used to talk about 2 actions. That will occur at 2 different times. So here, future perfect is to talk about 2 actions, and both action will be completed in the future, and there are 2 events. That means 2 actions. So the others, what you have to know about future perfect, it builds, or future perfect builds the same relations to a future moment as the present does to present moment. That means when we discussed on a present perfect and the relation it has to the present tense is almost similar to the relationship that the future perfect has to the future moment. Amma yeroo darbee future gaafa present tense waliin ilaalle keessattuu waa'ee present perfect gaafa ilaalle present perfectiin gocha yeroo darbe jalqabee ammallee kan itti fufaa jiru ta'uusaa kan nutti agarsiisudha. Akkasumas immoo present perfectiin gocha yeroo darbe jalqabee gochi sun immoo recently completed yoo ta'e yookiin dhiheenya wanta xumurame tokko ittiin haasa'uudhaaf nu gargaaraa jenna. Kanaaf relationii present perfectiin present moment wajjin qabu kan future perfectiin future moment wajjin qabu tokko jechuudha. So the way we use future perfect is in this way. So the next, let us discuss on indicators of future perfect. Jechoon warri kun baay'ee isin fayyadu. Jechoota warra kana agarreennaan most of the time it rounds around future perfect or future perfect continuous tense. Jechoonni kun gaafa arginu future perfect continuous tense nutti dhaga'amu qabu jechuudha. That means these expressions are indicators of future perfect, like by then, by that time, by midnight, by the end of the year, by next year, when, before, from now, at, as soon as, etc. So such types of expressions help us to identify what type of tense it is. Kanaaf amma jechoon warri kun yeroo baay'ee warra kana agartanii jennaan jechuudha. Future perfect wajjin ol qabatu jechuudha. Yookiin immoo future perfect continuous tense ta'uu danda'a. So this word helps you in order to identify what type of tense it is. We will discuss uh, within examples. Thus, let's proceed to the form of future perfect. Here, in affirmative form, that means in positive form, future perfect has this form. That means subject plus will plus have plus verb series. That means past participle. So it is in affirmative form. That means in a positive sentence. In a positive sentence, future perfect has this form. Whatever subject it is followed by will. Whether it is singular subject or plural subject, the word that comes after subject is will when we talk about future perfect. Look at the example. I will have taught in this school for 10 years by the end of 2025. Look, indicator of future perfect by the end of 2025. That means the action is not complete. That means the action will be completed in the future. Now, look at the formula here. Is one subject and this will, as we said here, then have whatever subject it is, whether it is singular or plural, we always use have here because after modal verbs, the verb is in the form of plural. Then here plus have, so we say subject plus will plus have plus, then the third taught, it is verb 3 of teach. Teach, and the verb is taught. Taught. So it is when we use future perfect in the form of affirmative or in a positive sentence. Kanaaf future perfect kan jennu formii kanaan argachuu dandeenya jechuudha. Innis jalqaba irratti saabjektii heddii fudhannee booda itti aansinee wiilii fayyadamna. Ammas haafitti daballee kana booda verbii achi keessa jiru immoo gara verbii siriitti jijjiirraa jechuudha yookiin past participle jijjiirraa jechuudha. Look at another examples. By the time I arrived home, look, by the time, indicator of future perfect. Jechuun kun future perfect ta'uu isaanii agarsiisu jechuudha. By the time I arrived home, the workers will have finished repairing my TV set. At the time of speaking, this sentence indicates as the action is not complete, but the speaker expects as the action will be completed in the future. By the time is the expression that we indicate future perfect. Then the workers, the subject, will plus have plus verb 3. By the time I arrived home, the workers will have finished repairing my TV set. The other form is when we use future perfect in a negative form. Here is a form similar to this, except the negative of this statement. Subject as a beginning, then we use will, after that have, then we add not, then verb 1 into verb 3. So the difference here is we use not in this sentence. Or in other ways, we can write this one in this form is subject plus want. Why we say want? Because the negative form of will is want. Want. Then have plus verb, sorry. So in the place of will, if we don't want to use not, we can change will into want. It's the same meaning or the same forms. Look at the example. I won't have done my assignment. Look, I won't have done my assignment. Now, this means will not. Will not. Will not. I will not have done my assignment. Here, I will not have finished my work by the end of this month. So you can use will not, or instead of will not, you can use short won't. So this one is when we use future perfects in negative forms. The other in interrogative form, there's a form of future perfect in interrogative form. We always begin with will or want. If it is a negative sentence, we begin with want. Then plus subject plus have plus verb plus question mark. Amma gaafa future perfect bifa gaaffiin fayyadamnu immoo haala kanaan fayyadamnaa jechuudha. Innis jalqaba irratti yeroo kan fayyadamuu qabnu future perfect bifa interrogative yookiin bifa gaaffiitiin wiilii jalqaba irratti fudhannaa yookiin immoo wanti fudhannaa. Wanti maal jenne the negative form of will is want. Achiin booda subjectiitti daballee then have then verb 3 and as a hint question mark. Look at the example. Will you have painted the wall? Will, here is will, then subject you, then have, we add have, then change the verb into verb 3, painted the wall. This one is question mark. So this is the way we use future perfect in interrogative form. The other, will you have eaten your lunch when we arrive? Will you have eaten your lunch when we arrive? This one is also. How do we use future perfect in interrogative form? The third, a bit different from this one. Here we use want. In A and B, the first and the second, we use will, but here we use want, the same, because want is a negative form of will. Won't she have retired by the end of the year? By the end of, indicator of future perfect. Where the future indicator of future perfect. So this all are the forms of future perfect in different ways, in interrogative, in affirmative, and in negative statements. Let us proceed to the uses. Amma mee faayidaa isaa haa ilaallu. Yoom yookiin akkamitti future perfect akka fayyadamuu qabnu yookiin tensii kan biraarraa kan akka future simple ta'uu danda'a yookiin future continuous ta'uu danda'a yookiin immoo present simple ta'uu danda'a present perfect ta'uu danda'a haala kamiin future perfect teensota warra kaan irraa adda baafne itti fayyadamuu dandeenya kan jedhuuf yoom fayyadamuu qabna yookiin statementii akkamii keessatti fayyadamuu qabna kan jedhu faayidaa isaa keessaa muraasa waliin ilaalla. The first use future perfect to indicate an action that will be completed before a specific point in the future. So future perfect, the first use of future perfect is used for an action that will be completed, that will be completed before a specific point in the future. In other words, the action you are talking about must have a deadline. So here what you have to know, in order to use future perfect, there should be a deadline. That means time indicator should be given with a future perfect. If time indicator is not given, instead of using a future perfect, better to use future simple or simple future tense. Because the difference, in order to use future perfect, there should be a deadline. The action or the event that we are talking about should be guided with a deadline. If you do not mention a deadline in your sentence, if there is no deadline, don't use future perfect for such types of sentence. Instead, you have to use simple future instead of future perfect. Jechuudha. Akkas jechuun amma sentensiin tokko future perfect jedhamu simple future jedhanii addatti hin baasuuf kan nu gargaaru keessaa inni tokko future perfect gaafa fayyadamnu deadline nu kennamuu qabu yookiin guyyaa yookiin sa'aatii yeroon action yookiin eventiin sun itti xumuramu nu kennamuu qabu. yoo sa'aatii yookiin yeroo eventii yookiin actionin tokko itti xumuramu nuu hin kennamne yoo ta'e future perfectii fayyadamuu hin dandeenya. Bakka isaa maal fayyadamuu qabna? Simple future fayyadamuu qabna jechuudha. Mee fayyidaa fakkeenya kan ilaalame? Look, at 8 o'clock, John will have left. Will plus have plus verb 3. Left comes from the verb 3 for leave. Leave is a verb 1 and left is verb 3. Left is verb 3. Not the opposite of right here. It is used as a verb. Then at 8 o'clock, this one is deadline. Deadline is given here. At 8 o'clock, John will have left. So that this indicates John will leave before 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock is a deadline before 8 o'clock. The other, look at this. John will have left the class. Can we use this in this form? Is there deadline in this sentence? John will have left the class. No deadline. So in such types or with such types of sentence, better to use simple future instead of future perfect. Now this one is future perfect. So instead of this, we have to use simple future. That means John will leave. Rather than will have left, better to say John will leave. In order to correct the sentence, we have to write like this one: John will leave. John will leave the class because there is no deadline. When there is no deadline in the sentence, we have to use simple future. I will leave the class. I will leave the so correct is used with future perfect. This form is I will leave the class. What types of tense used here? Simple future. Now here simple future is used. Simple future. So what about the sentence? Right or wrong? I will leave the class. So sentence is correct. But for this one, for B, it's wrong. It should be future simple or simple future. Then since there is no deadline on this or C, I will leave the class as correct sentence, yeah, because it is in simple future. The other, I will have become a famous musician someday. I will have become a famous musician someday. Is there a deadline in the sentence? There is no deadline. So the sentence is wrong. Instead of this, we have to say, I will become a famous musician someday is correct. This one is simple future, and this one is future perfect. So when there is no deadline in a sentence, we have to use simple future instead of future perfect. So you have to use future perfect and simple future tense in this way. Garaagarummaa isaanii agartanii gaafa deadline yookiin guyyaan nu kennamu sentensii tokko keessatti waa'ee gara fuulduraatti yookiin gocha gara fuulduraatti hin xumurama jennee yaadnu tokko yoo ta'e gaafa haasofnu yoo yeroon isaa specifically nu kennamee jira ta'e maal fayyadamna? Future perfectii fayyadamna jechuudha. That means will plus have plus verb 3 fayyadamna. Yoommoo deadline nu kennamne ta'e deadline yoo nu kennamne ta'e immoo maal fayyadamna? Simple future dha jechuudha. That means subject plus will or shall plus verb 1 fayyadamna jechuudha. The second use of future perfect faayidaa isaa inni lammaffaa future perfect is used to indicate events furnished by a certain time in the future. We expect that some event will be completed in a certain time in the future, not now, in certain time in the future. by certain time in the future. Look at the example. At the end of this month is one deadline. At the end of this month, deadline is given here. They will have, this one is future perfect. Subject plus the subject, then will plus have plus verb. They will have been in their house for 10 or 10 years or 1 year. They will have. So we expect as the action will be completed in certain time in the future, not now, certain time in the future. So in order to talk such types of events, we have to use future perfect. John will have left the class. Is there deadline in this? There is no deadline, or there is no time specified. Because of this, the sentence is wrong. The third use of future perfect used to indicate that one future event will happen before another. One future event will happen before another event. Look at this example. I expect I will have finished my painting before the art collector arrives. Have you seen it? I expect I will have. What types of tense? This one is future perfect. Future perfect. I will have finished my painting before the art collector arrives. So two events are there, and one event happens before another. Look at this examples also. The workers will have finished all the repairs when we return. When we return from our vacations. How many tenses are there in this? Two tenses are there. The first one is future perfect. The second one is simple present. Simple present. So the workers will have finished all the repair when here is indicators of future perfect when we return from our vacations. So this is all about future perfect. Let us proceed to future perfect continuous tense. How to use future perfect continuous tense. Why future perfect erga mana jennemo me kan wajin kan walitti dhiyaatumo future perfect continuous tense mulalla jechuudha. Yoo akka fayyadamnuu fi akkamitti akka fayyadamnu ilaalla jechuudha. Sasi future perfect continuous tense is used to describe an action that will be ongoing up until a specific point in the future. So this indicates ongoing action, not completed action, ongoing action. So if the event is ongoing in the future before another action took place, we use future perfect perfect continuous tense for such types of events. The other use of or indicator of future perfect continuous tense is it emphasizing the duration of an action. Duration of an action that will be happening before a certain time or event. So duration, there is a duration. Then another indicates how long. How long? That means duration. How long something will have been happening by a specific future point. So duration means how long something happen. The form of future perfect continuous tense. First we use subject, after that will, then we add have, then been for all subjects, then add verb with ing. This one is in affirmative. In affirmative. In a negative form, we just add not possess. That means subject plus will plus have plus not plus been plus verb ing. Then the interrogative form of this, we begin with will, similar to that of future perfect. Akkuma future perfect wajjin tokko jechuudha. Gaafa interrogative ta'u immoo maal goona? Will irraa jalqabna jechuudha. Gaafa negative ta'u immoo want irraan eegalla jechuudha. Look at the example. By the time she arrives, indicators also, indicator of future, the indicators of future perfect and the future perfect continuous tense almost the same. By the time she arrives, what types of tense here? Simple present. By the time she arrives, I will have been working. Subject plus, will, have plus, be plus, verb with ing. So I will have been working on this project for 5 hours. So for 5 hours is duration. Here it refers duration. Other example, she will have been studying English for 5 years. By the time, indicators also, she graduates. One is present simple tense. Present simple tense. Then this one is future perfect continuous tense. Future perfect continuous tense. Galtanii haala kanaan fayyadamnaa jiru. Gaafa future perfect fayyadamnus future perfect continuous tense fayyadamnus gam tokkoon gaafa future perfect continuous fayyadamnu gama biraatiin maal fayyadamuu qabna? Simple present fayyadamuu qabna malee daballee future simply fayyadamuu hin dandeenye jechuudha. Fakkeenyaaf amma she will have been studying English for 5 years. By the time she will graduate, can you say here? She will graduate. Can you say? No. Because with future perfect continuous tense or future perfect, we have to use present simple, not simple future. Gaafa future perfect is yookiin future perfect continuous tense fayyadamtan gam tokko future perfect taanaan gama biraasaa keessa kan jiru immoo simple present ta'uu qaba jechuudha. Simple past is mid, past perfect is mid yookiin present perfect is mid. What we have to use? Simple present. Look at the example also. When we reach our destination, simple present. When we reach our destination, we will have been traveling for 12 hours. So, for 12 hours duration, or how long? Then, when we reach our destination, if you close, and if you close, we use simple present. Then we will have been traveling in future perfect continuous tense. The other, now the first and the second, look, 1 up to 3, in the form of affirmative. This one is in the form of interrogative. The form of interrogative. When we use future perfect in interrogative form, we begin with will. So, will you have been waiting? Will you have been waiting for more than 2 hours when her plane finally arrives? What types of tense is one? Finally arrives. Present simple. This one is future perfect continuous tense. Future perfect continuous tense in interrogative form. When we begin with one, we call it interrogative. That is in a question form. The other, you will not have been waiting for more than 2 hours when her plane finally arrives. What about this one? In a negative form. How to use future perfect continuous tense in negative forms. Kanaafi akkuma future perfect tense, future perfect continuous tense kanas bifa affirmative dhaan fayyadamuu dandeenya. That means positive sentence inni kan biraan in negative form, in this form it means, and the third one in interrogative form, that means in a question form. Haala kanaan fayyadamuu dandeenya jechuudha future perfect continuous tenses. Ergi amma kana beektani waa'ee future perfect tense, mee amma immoo gara indicator isaatti ilaalla. Indicators, that means how do we identify whether the tense is future perfect continuous tense or future simple or present simple or whatever. In order to identify one tense from another, such types of expression helps us. Fayyadu jechuudha kun. Tensiin tokko tensii maali akka ta'e ilaaluudhaaf nu fayyadu jechuudha. Kanaaf warri kun maal jechuudha? The indicator of future perfect or future perfect continuous tense indicators. Future perfect indicators. Future perfect continuous tense indicators. By then, by that time, by midnight, by the end of the year, by next June, when, before, from now, at, as soon as. So such types of words are expressions that we use in order to identify future perfect tense or future perfect continuous tense from other tenses. Let us proceed to use it. If I does I learn future perfect immoo haala kam keessatti fayyadamuu akka dandeenyu. In tokkoffaan, the use of future perfect tense is to show the length of an action before a specific future time. Length or duration. Duration of an action. Duration of an action before a specific future time. Look at the example. By the end of the year, so by the end of the year is what? As deadline. Deadline. By the end of the year, they will have been living in this house for 10 years. How long? For 10 years. Then durations. Second example, he will have been driving for an hour by the time he gets home. By the time he gets home. Present simple. It is one is I will have been driving is future perfect continuous tense. The second use of future perfect continuous tense is used to indicate long event. Long event when used with short event. Here, when there are two events in that sentence, the other event is long and the other one is short. We use future perfect continuous tense for long event and simple present for short event. Amma eventii lamatu jira, ta'ee lamatu jira yoo ta'e sentensi sana keessa eventii sana jalqaba adda baafnaa jechuudha. Kamtu longiidha, kamtu immoo short eventiidha jenne. Eddii haala kanaan adda baafnee booda eventii longii ta'e tokkoof maal fayyadamna? Future perfect continuous fayyadamna jechuudha. Sentensii sana keessatti immoo short eventii kan agarsiisu simple present fayyadamna jechuudha. Fakkeenyaaf, now here, look, when he resigns, so always what you have to remember, future perfect is used with independent clauses. Future perfect yookiin future perfect continuous tense gaafa fayyadamnu clause independent ta'etti fayyadamna jechuudha. That means it's long event. And short events we use it with simple present. Ammas keessatti ilaala. When he resigns dependent clause. Dependent clause keessa maaltu jira jechuudha? Present simple fayyadamna jechuudha. Present simple. Amma immoo independent yookiin ciroo of danda'a isa jennu keessatti jechuudha. Maal fayyadamna? Future perfect continuous tense fayyadamna jechuudha. Wanti isin beekuu qabdan achi keessa sentensi sana keessa eventii lama jira taanaan eventiin sun tokkoonsaa dependent clauseidhaan ijaaramee jira. Paartii biraasaa immoo independent clauseidhaan ijaaramee jira jechuudha. Kanaaf yoo gam tokkoonsaa dependent clause barreeffamee jira ta'e sentence sana keessa maaltu jiraachuu qaba? Dependent taanaan simple present ta'uu qaba jechuudha. Yommuu independent ta'e clause sun maal ta'uu qaba? Future perfect continuous tense ta'uu qaba jechuudha. Have you got the difference? So when there are two events in a sentence, we classify it as long event and a short event, and we use future perfect continuous tense with long event and simple present with short event. Look at the example also. I will have been studying. What types of clauses one? This one is independent clauses. That means almost complete sentence. I will have been studying. Almost complete sentence. Because independent clause is almost complete sentence. Because there is a subject and a verb. I will have been studying for 2 hours before she calls. Before she calls. Why we use here? This one is present, simple and it's short event. Before she calls is short event. So for short event or for short action, we use present, simple, and for long action, we use future perfect continuous tense. The third use of future perfect tense is the future perfect continuous tense is used for incomplete and uninterrupted activities. Ammas itti waan beekuu qabdan future perfect continuous tense kan fayyadamnu tokko incomplete eventidha. Eventiin sun hin xumuramne jechuudha. And uninterrupted activities. Akka jechuun activity biraan dhufee gocha raawwatamaa jiru sana addaan hin kunne jechuudha. Interrupt hin kunne. Another event is not interrupt or not stop the event that is going on at that time. Eventii lamatti ta'aa jira yoo ta'e, eventiin sun incomplete ta'e, eventii biraan immoo dhufee interrupt hin goone yookiin addaan kuchisiifne taanaan tensii akkasii maal fayyadamna? Future perfect continuous tense fayyadamna jechuudha. If we refer to a number of individual actions, a number of, that means many, a number of individual actions or actions that were repeated events, we must use future perfect. Amma achi keessatti individual event yookiin repeated action taanaan complete repeated ta'aa deema taanaan eventiin sun yookiin many events or numerous events are there in that sentence, we do not use future perfect continuous tense. Instead, we have to use future perfect. Ammas keessatti kun maaliif sin fayyada? Future perfect dhaa fi future perfect continuous tense adda baasuudhaaf isin fayyada jechuudha. Mee fakkeenya kanadha. When I'm 60, I will have been building houses for 30 years. When I'm 60, I will have been building houses for 30 years. Is the action is repeated? No. That means one in incomplete action. If it is incomplete action, future perfect continuous tense. Or if the event is an interrupted event, we use future perfect continuous tenses, not future perfect. Look at another example. When I'm 60, the same sentence with the first one. When I'm 60, I will have built more than 50 houses. More than 50 houses. That means many events are there in this. Or numerous individual actions are there. Because we use future perfect here. Can we use future perfect continuous tense here? No. Because the event is not repeated action. Incomplete action. The event is already completed. Or it can be repeated action also. When I am 60, I will have built more than 50 houses. That means the person built many houses before he turns 50. 15 individual actions are there in this. 15 individual actions are there. If there are numerous actions or many actions in that sentence, we use future perfect instead of future perfect continuous tense. By 5 o'clock, I will have been washing this car for an hour and a half. The action is not complete. By 5 o'clock, I will have been washing this car for an hour and a half. That means one uninterrupted activity. There is no other activity that interrupts the person. And the person or the speaker is still washing car. Ongoing activity or incomplete activity. And how many activities are there? Only one activity. If there are many activity, we use future perfects for different activities or for more than one activities. And if a list of activities are given and is your sentence or the sentence given talk about different types of events, you have to use future perfect. And if there is a single or one event and is that event even uninterrupted or incomplete, we use future perfect continuous tense. So what you have to never forget always, as we discussed in the previous time, with present continuous tense, with past continuous tense, and also today with future continuous tense, we never use state. We never use state verbs with such types of tense. If the sentence is future continuous or future perfect continuous, we do not use with state verbs. State verbs are a type of verbs which focus on state than action. Such types of words are, look, these words all are state verbs. State verbs divided to four. The first one is verbs of mind. Verbs of mind. The second one is verbs of sense or feeling. And verbs of possessions. And verbs of ownership. Such types of verbs are there. When there is state verbs in the sentence, we have to use other sentence, other tense, maybe present simple, or maybe simple future, or future perfect, or whatever tense. But if there is continuous words in that sentence or in that tense, we do not use state verbs, or state verbs are not used with future perfect continuous tense, present continuous tense, and also past continuous tense. Do use. Then here, no verbs of mind, love verbs of emotions, like also verbs of emotions, now verbs of mind, remember verbs of mind also, understand verbs of mind, forget, regret verbs of mind, hear verbs of sense, taste verbs of sense also, see verbs of sense. So with such types we do not use future perfect continuous tense. Look at the example. By this time next year, he will have been knowing. So because now is what? Verbs of mind or state verbs. With state verbs, we do not use in ing forms. Gaafa state verbi ta'u bifa kanaan fayyadamu jechuudha. State verbi kan jennu verbi action irratti hin ta'in state irratti kan hundaa'e jechuudha. Haala wanta sanaa irratti hundaa'u malee action miti. So state verbi ta'ee state verbi keessa jechuun warra akkasii kun jiraatan innaan future perfect continuous tense wajjin fayyadamnu jechuudha. Kana duwwaatu hin taane future present continuous tense taanaan present perfect continuous tense taanaan yookiin past continuous past perfect continuous tense yoo ta'e jechuudha. State verb wajjin fayyadamuu hin dandeenyu jechuudha akkasii. So as an examples, he will have been understanding about his country when he turns 12. Look, he will have been understanding. Understanding is verbs of mind. Verbs of mind. That means state verbs. State verbs. So with state verbs, we do not use future perfect continuous tense. This is all about our today's lesson. Before I conclude the lesson, let me give you this activity and see how you understand the lessons. Amma akka isin hubattan ilaaluudhaaf mee activity kana hojjedhaati hubachuu keessan adda baafadha. Mee gaaffii tokkoffaa kana ilaala. By the time she belong, he will already have gone to bed. Now what types of tense here? By the time she belong, he will have gone to look. Will have gone to bed. What types of tense is given here? Will have gone to future. Future perfect is given. Now the required one what? What we have to find is the other tense that go with future perfect. As we discussed in the lesson, with future perfect or with future perfect continuous tense, there is always what? Simple present or present simple is given. Gaafa future perfect fayyadamnu yookiin future perfect continuous fayyadamnu closii lamatu jiru jenne. Closii lamaan jiran kana keessa dependent fi independent kan jedhaman jiru. Independent wajjin yookiin of danda'a wajjin yeroo hundumaa kan fayyadamnu future perfect yookiin immoo future perfect continuous tense dha. Amma independent clause nu kennameera future perfect jechuudha. Kanaaf kan barbaannu maal jechuudha? Asitti maal barbaanna? Simple present yookiin present simply barbaanna jechuudha. So what's the answer? A call, B will call, C call, D will have called. Kana keessa maal barbaanna jechuudha mul'ati? Simple present. Simple present immoo kana bira keessa callidhaa fi call si keessa filanna jechuudha. Amma maal irraa argina jechuudha? Now we back to the subject verb agreements. Subject verb agreement kennina ilaalla jechuudha. Amma asitti kan nu kenname singular subject waan ta'eef verbiin itti aanee dhufus maal ta'uu qaba? Singular verb ta'uu qaba jechuudha. Singular verb means verb with s. Since this the given pronoun is third person singular is followed by singular verbs, and the singular verb is verb with s. So the appropriate answer for this one is called. Question number 2. Haaluma kanaan ammas mee kanas ilaala. Amma by the time jiraannaan maal nutti agarsiisa jechuudha? Yookiin future perfect continuous tense or future perfect ta'uu nutti agarsiisa jechuudha. Amma maaltu nu kenname? By the time you wake me up, you wake me up, you wake me up. Dependent clause. You wake me up. What types of tense? Present simple is given. Now the second is independent clause. With independent clause, what do we use? Future perfect continuous tense or future perfect tense. So by the time you wake me up, I blank for 9 hours. A, I'm sleeping. B, will sleep. C, will have been sleeping. D, will have slept. Now identify whether the event is completed or ongoing action. By the time you wake me up, by the time you wake me up, I blank for 9 hours. By the time you wake me up, I blank for 9 hours. That means the person is now sleeping. So what's the answer? This one is I am present simple. This one is now present continuous tense. So comes the answer. Will sleep. This one is simple future. Then will have slept. Future perfect. So the answer is I will have been sleeping for 9 hours. Future perfect continuous tense. The third, we won't have signed. Won't means is will not. Will not. We won't have signed the contracts by the time the meeting. Now what's given? We won't have signed. Future perfect is given. Future perfect is given. This is indicators of future perfect. Then what here should be simple present. So we won't have signed the contract by the time the meeting. The meeting, singular, plural, singular. So for the singular, the verb should be also singular. So what's the appropriate answer for this? If you say ends, you are right. Gaaffii lakkoofsa afuraffaa. Now they blank before next summer. A, they will have been graduating. B, they graduate. C, they is. Can you say they is? No. They is graduating. D, they will have graduates. So next summer's deadline is given here. Deadline is given. So deadline indicates that it is future perfect. Future perfect continuous tense is ongoing action. Ongoing action. There is no deadline with this. So the appropriate answer for this one is D. They will have graduate before next summer. Number 5. By the time I come back, come back is given here, is present, simply is given. You blank your assignment. Now here it may be future perfect or future perfect continuous tense. By the time I come back, you blank your assignment. You will have finished, you should have finished, must be finished, will finish. So what's the answer for this? The answer is A, future perfect. Number 6, before I send this email, she blank every word. Before I send this email, she blank every word. She will have checked, she will checks, she checks, she will have been, there is another word here. So what's the answer for this? Before I send the email, she will have checked every word. She will have checked every word. Number 7. By July 2025 or by July 2025, you blank French for 50 years. Duration. Then, by July 2025, you will study. You study. You will be studying. You will have been studying. Is the activity is completed or ongoing? It requires duration. Yeah. Duration means as the action is ongoing, not completed. So we have to use what? Future perfect continuous tense. By July 2025, you will have been studying French for 15 years. Thank you very much for your attention. Next, in part 16, I will come back with conditional tense. The last type of tense, we divide tense into four, and the fourth one is conditional tense. So I will come with this lesson very soon. So until that, don't forget to share with one another or your friends who found everywhere and able to understand this language. And if you are new for this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and include it to the member. If you like the lesson, uh, don't forget to put or your comments under the comment box. Jalqabaa kaaftanii hamma dhumaatiin dhaggeeffachuu keessaniif galatooma. Chaanalii kanaaf haaraa yoo taatan sabiskiraayib gochuu hin dagatina. Yoommoo miseensa kophee akkaadaamii taatanii jirtu yoo ta'e immoo hiriyoota keessan afaan kana dhaga'uu danda'an kan biyyoota adda addaa jiran bira ga'uu akka danda'uuf immoo sheer gochuu hin dagatina isiniin jechuu gamanumaan si yaadachiifna. Leesanii kana jaallattanitti yoo ta'e immoo laayik godhaa yoo koomentii wanta sirreessu nu jiraates immoo koomentii jalatti nu barreessaa isinii jenna. Leesanii biraatiin amma walitti deebinutti nagaatti.